Glimpses of the Past is a lesson that gives us a short and precise description of events that took place in our country from 1757 to 1857, a duration of 100 years. And it endless incidents that led to widespread revolts that is known as the First War of Independence. And it provides a glimpse of how the British East India Company expanded its power in India and exploited Indians, how they robbed landlords and farmers of their land, created situations that led to famines, and pushed patriots to launch widespread attacks. Now let's go to the lesson in detail. The first incident is about the martyrs, and you can see a scene that represents a function that took place in Delhi, and the famous singer Lata Mangeshkar can be seen singing there a song, "E Mere Wadan Ke Logon," and alongside her we can see Indira Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and Lal Bahadur Shastri. At a function in Delhi in January 1963, Lata Mangeshkar sang the famous song by Kavi Prateep, "E Mere Wadan Ke Logon," that is said to have moved Nehru to tears. So this is a function that has been attended by our famous freedom fighters, and there the famous singer Lata Mangeshkar sang the song that was good enough to make even Nehru weep. "Oh, my countrymen, let your eyes fill with tears as you recall the sacrifices of India's martyrs." This story gives some glimpses of the history of India from 1757 to 1857 and of the conditions that led Indians to their first war of independence. Here you have a new word, that is martyr. A martyr means a person who is killed because of his or her religious or other beliefs. So we are having n number of martyrs who lost their lives just because they were against the rules of the Britishers. Now we can see the British conquest, how they captured India. The British East India Company, with its superior weapons, was extending its powers in 18th century India. And you can see the map of India during 1765. Only very few parts were under the control of British territory. Part of the reason behind the success of foreigners was a short-sightedness of Indian princes. That upstart Raja Ba called the English merchants, "They helped me defeat my cousin." The internal rivalries among the Indian rulers helped the East India Company easily subdue Indian princes one by one. And far-seeing rulers like the brave Tipu Sultan of Mysore fought the British till they died fighting. The company's conquest was from 1757 to 1849. And the year 1757 bears the mark of being an important year in Indian history. The company rule, also known as the Company Raj, that refers to the rule of the British East India Company over parts of the Indian subcontinent. The East India Company was a private company owned by stockholders and reporting to the administration in London. The company came to India and set up a few factories at different places, the East India Company. And however, the company's beginnings was on coastal India, offered no clues to what would become of a lengthy presence on the Indian subcontinent. And we can say slowly and gradually they began expanding and extending their dominance in India. The British East India Company is extending their dominance in India. And one of the reasons they were able to do so is that they possess superior weapons. That was the reason they were having superior weapons. And secondly, they took advantage of the prevailing disturbed circumstances among the Indian rulers. The Indian princes were not at peace amongst themselves. Indian princes, however, were short-sighted, which means they only considered immediate benefits but ignored its long-term consequences. So they took help from the English merchants to be able to defeat their rivals. And this helped the British East India Company in successfully taking over control from the Indian rulers. And you all are familiar that the British adopted divide and rule policy. The same they were doing among the Indian princes. Amongst all the short-sighted Indian rulers, there was one ruler of Mysore, and he is Tipu Sultan, who understood their policy, the British East India Company's policy, and fought against them till his last moment. And how did common people in India react to the conquest and victories of the British? We can see two different opinions. Some were happy with what the Britishers are doing. See, thank heavens there is peace in the country now, no more wars and no looting by thugs. The British are a godsend to us. Our destiny is linked to theirs. So some are very happy with the presence of the Britishers. While on the other side we can see the white men, means the Britishers, has killed or dethroned our kings. No one is denying that some kings were in good, but they were of this land after all. We have now basically become slaves to foreigners. The Indians, however, had varied opinions and reactions to all this conquest and victories. The first set of people were very happy with the Britishers and were also grateful because they thought peace could finally prevail. And they thought it put an end to war and looting by thugs. Thugs means criminals, robbers. On the other hand, people saw what was actually happening. They knew that even if some of the princes were cruel, they were at least of their land. And they had realized that they are now slaves of the Englishmen. Religious leaders preach ideas like untouchability and child marriage. Anyone who crosses the seas loses his religion. Women are the cause of all misery in the world. Know that, a fool? The truth was that Indians had low self-respect and naturally the British scorned them. The natives are unworthy of trust, incapable of honesty. True, Your Honor, but I am honest. Being merchants, the British wanted quick profits and their heavy taxes forced farmers to abandon their fields. You are still in arrears. If you don't pay next week, I will have to send you to jail. But your men are taking all my crops. The British rule from 1765 to 1836 led to the rise of widespread myths and taboos like untouchability, child marriage, inferiority of women, etc. in our country. Our own religious leaders taught everyone the idea of untouchability. Untouchability means the practice of excluding a minority group by separating them from the mainstream by social custom or legal manners. And they were not allowed to come near those who are considered themselves as superior and not allowed to be in temples, and they were discriminated everywhere. They were deprived of the basic rights even. And the religious leaders even preached that people who cross the sea will no longer belong to their religion, means who are crossing the limits, are not belonging to their religion. And women were considered the root cause of a lot of problems like poverty and other miseries. And that is the reason why teenage girls were forced to marry, thereby leading to child marriage. And these practices were not only being done, but were also being promoted by the Britishers. The Britishers started looking down upon Indians and initiated brainwashing the rulers against them. And they were thinking that Indians were not worthy of trust and incapable of honesty. This was a way of making the natives slaves and getting control over them. Not only this, the British merchants posed heavy taxes on the poor farmers in greed of immediate profits. As a result, the farmers, what they have to do? They have to give up their lands. And if this was not enough, they even threatened the farmers to imprison them if they did not clear the arrears. And they continuously found ways to exploit the people and earn profits. Furthermore, the British invented methods which gave them even more profits. The goods manufactured in England should not have any import duty when brought into India. A splendid idea. The East India Company's laws began to cripple Indian industries, and famines inevitably followed. Between 1822 and 1836, 15 lakh Indians died of starvation. The British policies ruined the expert artisans and their business. Though the British merchants were earning good profit, they were not happy with that. They were still greedy. So they continuously found ways to exploit the people and earn more profits. For example, what they have done, the goods manufactured in England were being imported to India, and no import duty was on them. The England produce was sold at high prices, where the Indian produces were taken away at much less prices. And this caused an increasing poverty and the misery of farmers. And not only this, such policies of the British East India Company destroyed the Indian industries. Small business and individual artisans were ruined. And all this resulted in famines or extreme scarcity of food. And approximately 15 lakh Indians starved to death between 1822 and 1836.